Hi, this is Pastor John. It's Tuesday, April 14th, a couple of days after Easter. We're still in our series, American Dystopia. I have to say, just the other day, yesterday in fact, our family went down to the boardwalk and walked on the boardwalk. It's open. The beach access isn't open, but the boardwalk was open, and we walked down there, and it was such a beautiful day, 80 degrees, and hardly anybody there. In fact, the people who were most well represented there were some of our homeless population. It was an interesting experience. We are in unprecedented times. One of the things that has impacted me, and I'm sure all of you have thought about it, is the difference in what we expect of government. And I have with me two documents. One is our Constitution, and the other is the Bible. And I wanted to read just the First Amendment of the Constitution. Congress shall make no law as respecting an establishment of religion, or prohibiting the free exercise thereof, or abridging the freedom of speech or of the press, or of the right of the people peaceably to assemble and to petition the government for a redress of grievances. Now it's interesting, there are questions over where in some places in our country those freedoms may not be so free right now. And now I'm not saying we should do one thing or another, or I'm pushing you to respond or react in one way or another. But I am wanting you to put that in your head as I read this passage. We should not be surprised that there are times when we think our freedoms are challenged. Hear now these words from 1 Samuel chapter 8 regarding the people's asking for a king and Samuel's warning. He said, "These will be the ways of the king who will reign over you. He will take your sons and appoint them to his chariots and to be his horsemen and to run before his chariots. And he will appoint for himself commanders of thousands and commanders of fifties, and some to plow his ground and to reap his harvest, and to make his implements of war and the equipment of his chariots. He will take your daughters to be perfumers and cooks and bakers. He will take the best of your fields and vineyards and olive orchards and give them to his servants. He will take the tenth of your grain and of your vineyards and give it to his officers and to his servants. He will take your male servants and female servants and the best of your young men and your donkeys and put them to his work. He will take the tenth of your flocks, and you shall be his slaves. And in that day you will cry out because of your king, whom you have chosen for yourselves. But the Lord will not answer you in that day." Now we live in these times where government is going to take away some of those freedoms, and has, not just in the United States, but all over the world. Don't think for a minute that in all those places people will get their freedoms back. It's not going to happen. Some places where power is taken, power will not be given up. So how do we as Christians respond to that? Well, we respond, first of all, by realizing God is in control. God told Samuel, they're going to get a king. This is what they want, and I'm going to give it to them. Now, it wasn't because he wanted something good for them. It was good for them to have a king. It wasn't. They were actually rejecting God as their king. So we need to be careful of a couple things here. One is that we don't get in the point where we're so afraid of what's going to happen that we forget that God is in control. And the other thing is to realize that no matter what happens, even if our freedoms are taken away, and I think some of these freedoms are very important, even if they are taken away, God is still in control. He has a plan for us. He will provide for us. And even though, like me, you may have heard a commercial on the radio this morning, if the governor allows us to stay open, we will do such and such. Think about those words. Would we have said those things even a month or 2 months ago? And yet, despite all those things, God is in control.